actually, is it 7 yet? I have a couple of minutes before. Is
I
that-
have
7:01.
7:01
I have
on
7:01.
my computer.
Okay, all right, perfect. So we're going to call the meeting to order. Okay. Jeanette, I assume there were no public comments that you received?
You know
Okay.
what? Let's have a quick look. Our computers were down from 3:30 on, so no, we are good to go.
Okay, perfect.
Correspondence.
And there are no additions to the agenda. So next item on the agenda is the minutes of January 9th. I have one correction. Anybody? Everybody's had an opportunity to look at them?
What's the,
And,
oh, go ahead. Yep, sorry.
The one correction I have is the first, under the minutes of December 5th, motion was approved by a roll call vote. It was supposed to be 5, not 58. There's
Oh,
58 there. And it was 501, but 58.
Woohoo!
someone did print-
58 of you.
Yes, all right, so. That
All right,
was
so minutes with
that one.
correction.
Yes,
Okay,
so I can make a motion to approve the minutes with the correction if you want.
right. I assume there are no other corrections. Okay, thank you, Lauren. That would be great. And we'll need a second. Okay, Arnie seconded. Okay, we will do roll call vote. Jen? Do you approve the motion to accept the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Alex just signed on. Alex, did you hear?
Alex will be abstaining from that
Yes,
vote.
because she wasn't on in time. Okay.
Okay.
Arnie,
Yes.
Viviana,
I abstain.
Alex, actually, you have to abstain and so does Alexandra because she wasn't there last time. Anyhow, Alex. Okay, so she's, all right. Lauren,
Yes.
Kathy's not here and myself, yes. Okay. All right.
Okay, 2 questions. Who seconded? I was busy letting in
Arnie-
Alex.
Arnie.
Arnie.
Thank you. And
Viviana and Alex were absent last time, so they're abstaining. Besides, Alex wasn't on in time anyhow for the minutes. Okay,
okay, we're all good.
so
So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 2. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4,
yes, it was
0, 2. Okay.
Jen, Arnie, Lauren, and myself. Okay, all right. Two abst-
Viviana, this is just your backup.
Fine.
Yes, yes. Okay. Having settled that, motion carried. Jeanette, would you please give us the operating budget update?
I sure will. Susan and I were able to present at last month's budget hearing. They finished the budget hearings now, and I'm sorry, I'm just looking for my report. Not that I don't have this, I just want to make sure I was doing the economical thing and printed front back, and it didn't print in order front back. And so the presentation, I think, went very well. It's very straightforward operating budget. We have approximately $6,000 we're asking for over last year. And of that 6,000, 3,000 of it is outside agencies. It's our health department and another agency that have raised their rates for next year. And we're asking for about $1,500 for some furniture for the consultation room. And we're raising the, I think, one line item in for programs and publicity, about $1,400. We found other cost savings to shave some off of that. So overall, it's about a 1% increase, and I'm still not convinced we'll get it. The meetings I've been in since then, the department head meeting, if you took all the department's requests, including Beecher, it would be a 10% increase over last year, and the mill rate went up by 1%. So a 9% increase to your taxes is not in the cards. So they have to make some decisions. That said, I like that we're recording, so I'm going to say this. Solving the town's problem by cutting the human services budget is not, it's not relevant. Our budget is the smallest of the departments. And even if you shave a few $1,000s off of our budget, it will not make a difference when, you know, our Amity share or our Beecher share is going up by $1 million. You just can't make that work. So I feel pretty confident that they're not going to cut us dramatically. Other services may be on the chopping block. It's come down to that. It's services versus schools at this point, I would say, supporting the schools. And we all moved here because of the potential for well-educated children. You know, that is our priority. I get it, but we also have to balance with, you know, necessary and really important services. So that's my soapbox. And so I think the best chance for input on the budget is April 24th at 7:30 p.m. at Amity High School Auditorium. That is the preliminary budget hearing. As the process moves forward, I think later this month on the 21st, the Board of Selectmen will make a recommendation of the budget to the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance meets at least twice in March, on March 2nd and 16th. The 16th of Thursday, yeah. And then if they haven't figured out the budget by then, they'll meet again. And then they're done and they make the recommendation at the preliminary budget hearing, which held in an auditorium provides for a lot of people to attend and comment. So certainly if we hear through the grapevine, or if I get wind that we've been cut, or potentially, you know, they're looking at services, I'll definitely reach out to all of you with hopes that you can come, or at least write so they have correspondence about it. And that's about it on the budget. I hope you'll consider coming on the 24th.
Any questions for Jeanette? I would say that traditionally people who have, who want to say negative things attend meetings like that. So it is nice to have people who speak in support of things.
True. Ed Sheehy used to say he'd look out at the room at the preliminary budget hearing and there'd be 15 people there, and he'd say, oh, in a town of, you know, 9,000, or at that time 9,500, if you only have 15 people coming, we must be doing something right.
Okay, if there are no questions, thank you, Jeanette. And Christy, would you please give us the Woodbridge Center report?
Sure. So the COVID positivity community level has come down to the medium level after being at the high level for several weeks. So masks are, yeah, right? Masks are optional again for our programming. In January, we had our 4-week introduction to mindfulness class, and we had 12 participants during those 4 weeks. We had our sock snowman craft with, the attendance was a little lower, but we had offered it last year. So some of the feedback was that some people weren't interested in doing it again, but those that went enjoyed it. The 2 lunch and learns, the one on decluttering and organizing workshop, and the other one was on joint replacement surgery. They both went well with good attendance for both of those. And then in February, we have 2 offerings for National Heart Awareness Month. One will be free aerobics classes on Tuesdays throughout the month of February. And the other one will be a lunch and learn that's titled Problem at the Pump, and it will be on AFib and CHF. And that will be presented by Beckett Harrison. He's the cardiologist PA that gave the other lunch and learn presentation, which everyone really enjoyed. And that's on February 24th. This Thursday, we have our Super Sweet Masquerade drive-through lunch that celebrates the Super Bowl. So we're having soup for it, little play on words, Valentine's Day and Mardi Gras. That's sponsored by Coachman Square and Opal Stork. And there'll be an additional treat provided by Hamden Health. Youth Services also provided some handmade Valentine's Day cards that were made by students, and that'll also be distributed at the drive-through. And then on February 14th, there's a Valentine's Day card craft that's provided by Hamden Health also. And then some other additional program information. The center collaborated with Youth Services to provide 150 knitted and crocheted items that were made by the craft group to the Wallingford Emergency Shelter, which is part of Columbus House. And we received 75% of the Taiji Kwan Moving for Better Balance funding. The rest of it will be coming shortly after a few other forms are submitted. And that's going very well. The 2 classes that started in January and still full. And the center has begun to expand on our collaboration with SCG and UI to promote resources that are available in the community and ways to save money on energy bills and usage. They also they approved a funding request for to co-sponsor the March drive-through in the amount of $300, and they'll also follow it up. They'll be distributing brochures at the drive-through, and then afterwards they'll follow it up with a lunch and learn in April to answer questions and to provide more information at that. With transportation, both of our bands were having a little trouble with the lifts. They needed a little manual assistance to help them go up and down, but van 167 went in for an annual service, and they were able to just fix that with just the annual service. So hopefully when 436 goes in, it will have the same response, so an easy fix. The new car 41 is officially part of our fleet and is on the road. It needed the rear defrost to be fixed, but otherwise it's doing well thus far, and has already proved to be beneficial by having that extra car. And we've had a nice increase in attendance with new participants in bridge, transportation, pickleball, craft programs, lectures, and the meal delivery program, with new people joining in January. And lastly, Janet always gives the update on the renovation at the center, but the senior center has been focusing a bit more on collaborating with the Agency on Aging regarding the grant for the projector and the screen, and with Silver Petroselli and Olympus to orchestrate the pre-wiring so that can be installed before the ceiling gets closed off. And that's all. Are there any questions?
If there are no questions, thank you, Christy. I need a motion to accept Christy's report.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, thank you, Vivian. In a second.
I can second.
Who said, oh, Lauren,
Lauren,
thank you
yeah.
very much. Okay, there'll be a roll call vote. Jen?
Yes.
Okay, Alex?
Yes.
Arnie?
Yes.
Viviana?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, thank you. Nancy's not here. Jeanette, will you please give the youth services report?
I'd be happy to. So let's see. So she had Woodbridge Youth Services and Bodak and the high school and Orange Youth Services got together to offer a virtual program presentation on vaping edibles and fentanyl abuse. I would say it was remarkably well attended. They actually had something like 180 RSVPs, but 118 parents signed on to this one, which is pretty big, I think. They had Lori McFarland from BH Cares Alliance for Prevention and Wellness on the call, and she spoke first. And then they had Trisha Dahl from Yale, who also was speaking on edibles and a bunch of prevention topics. I'm not Nancy, so I'm not going to elaborate. But it was such a good program, and Trisha Dahl was so good that Nancy's trying to get this now into the middle school, and it should hopefully go well there. She's trying to make it into a spring program there. So after that, she's had the winter paint party. They hired the Picasso company, and apparently it was just terrific. They had 13 kids in attendance, and everybody just loved it. And the Picasso parties people were easy to work with and want to come back and do some other programs and less expensive than what they had been doing before. So a win-win. On that program. It's as an after-school program, that's a good niche for kids who probably shouldn't be going straight home after school and hanging out by themselves. There's just good time to get them doing something interesting. The 6th grade meet and greet party, she's going to have a 6th grade Bethany and Woodbridge kids going up to the middle school on St. Patrick's Day for an event, and has already got good RSVPs going for that. People are very interested in that program and getting those kids together prior to, the 7th grade picnic. So this is a nice opportunity for the kids to have a fun time in the middle school and get exposed to where they're headed. For the First Selectman's Youth Award, if anyone is interested in nominating a kid who's really giving back to the community, it does not have to be only volunteer work that they've done in town, but it should be predominantly work that they've done in town, volunteer work, helping a neighbor. The nomination forms can be found on the town's website. And yes, M&T Bank will also make a scholarship donation for that. And then lastly, there's been some talk in amongst youth service bureaus about the reporting criteria now that the grants that we receive are coming through DCF. The reporting has become quite cumbersome, and it's become cumbersome to the point where they're looking at it. There are, I think, at least 2 or 3 youth service bureaus who've dropped out. I mean, this is money that Nancy spends a lot of time applying for, doing the reporting, and then afterward there's just a lot of work with it, and you have to decide whether or not is that money worth all the work it takes to get the money. Do we come out ahead? So DCF has sent us for training with a company called Dellinger Rad. Nancy and Ellen took the training for a town as small as we are, and with not providing direct services. They feel that we can apparently use a Google Doc to do our reporting. The only question on it is if it's a live Google Doc and you're submitting to this Dellinger Rad, who will then submit to DCF. Is that personal data that you're transporting and it's not encrypted? So we're having the town council review and just make sure that it is up, we're doing our best effort to keep that information, names and all of that private. So just looking at it, I'm sure that DCF would not set us up with a company to submit in that way if it wasn't protective. So we're just looking into that a little bit, but it looks like that will be the solution to making this process easier for us. Are there any questions? So I think that's about the rest she has in her report. I think we can all just read that and know what's going on.
Sort of, you said, Jeanette, that is it worth the effort, the amount of time? Does that imply that the grants are relatively small?
So
Small
total amount of,
numbers?
well, no, total amount of the grants I think are quite good. We get, I think we get $14,000 from one, and the other enhancement grant, I think, is 8. They've raised, because these 3 towns have dropped out, we actually got a little bit more money, and they're not asking us for a higher matching grant. Our matching was at 14, now we're getting a little over 14, but total amount of grants is $30,000. And so for us, when we don't have that money in our budget and we can't ask for it, it's probably not on our agenda to leave. It's just figuring out how we can make this process streamlined to make it more efficient.
Mhm.
But good question, Arnie. You know, for a town that's much larger than us, who gets $30,000 or $40,000, maybe it's not worth it, because they have to have someone who's being paid to do the reporting. Right.
Yeah, we don't pay Nancy, so that's okay, right?
She's gonna love watching this. I'm gonna get such a talking to. Okay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help
She
it.
might say, well, they pay her, but not very much.
So,
That's that. Any other
That's it.
questions?
no other questions? Okay, a motion to accept the youth services report.
I can do it.
Okay, Alex and
Yeah.
Jen. Jen had her hand up to second it, okay?
Yes, I can second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Jen,
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Arnie,
Yes,
Viviana,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes,
and myself, yes. Okay, moving rapidly through our agenda, we are already to human services. Jeanette, you're on deck again.
Great. The senior center is moving forward. I was down there with Christy today, and we don't go down every day. I want you to know, because there's a lot of dust, and even with our masks, it's really, but there's dust because they're actually moving ahead. They did drywall, they did taping, they got up the ductwork. Oh, Alex, your child is beautiful.
Ooh,
Nice to have him with us.
Thanks.
And so the some of the ceiling work, the soffits, 3 soffits have been installed now. The entranceway, the back exit, and the soffit where the room divider will go. We'll be meeting on Wednesday morning to go over a few more details, and it's moving ahead. You know, we're getting deliveries almost daily of supplies. I can see that we're well on our way. It took quite a few months to get here, but it feels like a change. It feels really positive, I think. Specifics are being asked, you know, where do you want the wiring for these computers, and where is the, you know, network, and all of the data information of phones and all of that is coming together. It is on the plans. However, it's a good time to talk about these things and make sure it is exactly where we want them to be, or actually where Christy needs them to be. That's about that. Center building renovation committee, the committee chair, Dwight, requested funding for $27,750 or $250. I think I put $250 in the report. I think it's $750 from the Board of Selectmen for the 5 phases of design from Silver Petroselli. That was granted. So we're going to start with 2 meetings going forward. Wednesday, the 8th, there'll be a meeting of Silver Petroselli and all of their specialist engineers will meet in the gym facility to go through the space and take pictures and measurements, and it's really just a work meeting for them. A week later, on the 15th, it will be time for Silver Petroselli to meet with the folks who utilize that space to get any input from the stakeholders. So John Adamovich and Christy and I and Dwight and Brad Parsons will meet with the Silver Petroselli team to just make sure that they're on board. You know, there's only $500,000, and I say an only in front of that because the first thing on the list is HVAC, and what we've learned is that costs a lot of money. And with the HVAC being the priority, flooring, the ADA compliant bathroom, you know, we really just don't have the bandwidth to go further. I'm really curious to hear what they have to say. If we do, we have a laundry list of things that could be done at this time. But without more funds, it seems like this project will be over with before it really gets all the way. We're going to be a little short. And that's disappointing, but there is the whole committee. The whole building committee is still functioning. This is just a small piece because it has $500,000 funding. The rest of the center building renovation committee, you know, Dwight asked for $55,000 to fund phase 1, which is a design concept. And the selectmen took no action on that request. I believe, I'm hopeful, knocking on my desk, I'm hopeful that at the March or April meeting that there'll be some funds in contingency left over from a mild winter so that this can move forward. Once it moves forward, we can get some design concepts going. We'll add in the parts of the gym project that don't get done, because that is a project that will be the entire envelope of the center building. So if we don't get ADA compliant doors on the gym, you can bet I'm going to be pushing those into the center building renovation. If we don't get the other 2 bathrooms, the men's and women's bathrooms, or the lobby, you know, or lighting in the gym, that's the time we say, okay, we still have some unfinished things. So we'll hope that the Board of Selectmen finds the funds to fund the phase 1 of the center building renovation. In the meantime, we're moving ahead with gym, and Susan and I always agree that it's best to just start at these things, because the more you start at them, people see, oh, it's unfinished work, and they can continue to fund projects. Just like we did in the senior center. You know, we got the ramp in the bathroom, we got the carpeting in the lounge, we got paint, and people saw that it was, oh, it's worth finishing now. It's worth applying for more money or something. So we're pleased with just starting. I'm very pleased with the gym. And I know Christy is too. Those pickleball players can be really hard on you when they want a new floor on that gym. It's tough. And just under programs and training, I just, the VITA program starts tomorrow. We have our volunteer tax people coming in tomorrow morning. We have a full in the appointment schedule for this Tuesday, next Tuesday, mostly full for all of February. And people are calling, the phones are ringing, and people want to come in for these services. So that's a good thing, and will help a bunch of people get through their taxes. Tuesdays become a little bit chaotic here with all these people coming in, but it's a good thing, and we'll look forward to successfully getting through that program. And just we're working on both a certification and recertification program for AED, CPR, and first aid. That we have 3 employees who need a certification, and AMR is helping us plan for that. probably in early March, and the entire rest of the team, our 2-year certification expires early June. So in May, we'll be repeating our training and be recertified. And the good news about that is that Town Hall pays for that. So it doesn't come out of our budget, because we watch our budget pretty darn closely. Are there any questions? Okay,
Questions? Okay, then we'll need a motion to accept Jeanette's report.
Also move.
Thank you, Arnie.
I'll
And a
second.
Viviana, thank you for the second. Okay. Roll call vote. Jen,
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Arnie,
Yes.
Viviana,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
and myself. Yes. Okay. I just would like to say before we adjourn, we're up to adjournment here. We have that you can all feel confident that if anybody asks you, human services, the services that are provided are needed now more than ever. And we can feel so proud that without a facility and with, the pandemic and everything, the numbers are wonderful. We shared some of them at the meeting the other night when we had to present. And with the new space on the horizon, I think the sky's the limit. So nice to end on a happy note here. The next meeting is March 6th. Is there any old business or new business to come before us? Anyone? If not, then I need a motion to adjourn, which seems always so abrupt, but
well,
it's nice
this is
to, it's only 7:30. We might be
it's a record. I'm happy with that.
a record, right? Everyone's very busy, and we thank you for making time to Zoom in and
Yeah,
join.
thank you so much.
I'll
Thank
make
you.
a motion to adjourn.
Yes, please. I need a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Jen. Okay, in a second.
Second.
Arnie, fine. And by acclamation, we can adjourn, right?
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. All
Good
right.
night.
Have a Thank good night, you.
Good
everyone.
night. Stay safe.
Good night. Thank you so much for coming.